Can cops force you to unlock your phone? Do they have to have a valid warrant? Is there a way to stop them from doing this? Yes, there is. I'm going to answer each of these questions and give you some practical tips to protect yourself from a police officer trying to force you to unlock your phone. Imagine being pulled over in your state by the highway patrol for your window tint being too dark. Then, as they walk up to your window and they look down, they happen to see your cell phone. Then they tell you you must give them your cell phone because now they want to be able to see what's on your phone. Then imagine after detaining you, the police officer puts you in handcuffs and then forces your thumb onto the screen in order to get access to your phone. This is a true story, and it happened to Jeremy Payne in 2021, and it actually became the case of U.S. versus Payne. These situations always drive me nuts as a lawyer. They already have him detained on the side of the road. The data's going nowhere. The phone's going nowhere. So much of this could be avoided by just obtaining a warrant. The problem is the police want to do what they can to obtain the evidence without having to get a warrant. Now, in Mr. Payne's situation, after they forced his thumb onto the phone, they were able to get access to his camera roll and a video that showed him on the same day taking a video of what looked like blue pills. The cops checked the phone's map and they found Mr. Payne's home address, and then they used Mr. Payne's own keys to enter into his residence. There they found over 800 blue pills. At that point, they chose to arrest Mr. Payne for possession with intent to distribute. Now, is this legal? That's exactly what the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals had to decide here. Even though there were both Fourth Amendment and Fifth Amendment issues, for the purpose of this video, we're going to focus on the Fifth Amendment issues, which are what? Can a cop grab your thumb, force it onto a biometric reader in order to gain access to unlock your phone without a warrant? The Ninth Circuit decided this was legal. In fact, they didn't see much difference between this situation than if someone were brought into a police station and forced to give a fingerprint during book-in. So then why does this decision matter? Because to date, there had not been a ruling from an appellate court establishing whether or not the police forcing you to provide a biometric in order to gain access to a phone without a warrant, whether or not that was actually legal. If you're like me, you keep a lot of your personal information and data private on your cell phone. And of course, there's all this amazing data encryption and technology out there in order to keep that away from prying eyes and keep things personal and private. The problem is you lose all that privacy if someone else gains access to your phone. This brings us to the Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination. The Fifth Amendment to the United States Constitution provides, quote, "No person shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself." This means that you cannot be forced to testify about the inner workings of your mind. However, Supreme Court case law has provided that certain acts, although incriminating, are not protected under the Fifth Amendment. Now, in the Payne case, Mr. Payne argued that being forced to unlock his phone by the police, the officers compelled testimonial communication that was actually protected under the Fifth Amendment. However, Judge Richard Tillman, the author of the opinion, wrote, and I quote, "The compelled use of Payne's thumb to unlock his phone required no cognitive exertion, placing it firmly in the same category as a blood draw or fingerprint taken at booking. The mere act itself merely provided the police with access to a source of potential information." Now, this is a strange statement from Judge Tillman because the Supreme Court has even ruled as recently as 2016 that in order for the police to compel a blood draw from you, absent you giving them consent, they have to have an actual search warrant. But here we don't need a warrant for the police to force you to use your finger as a biometric to gain access to your phone? Forcibly gaining entry into your phone provides much more than your identity. It actually provides access to your entire life to the police. Think about it. If you got access to my phone right now, you could immediately begin to find travel history, call history, banking information. You could find all kinds of things, text messages, all information that the police would not have been able to obtain outside of a valid search warrant. Imagine how cops will deal with this situation in order to gain access to a phone. What if they demand you provide your biometrics to get access to the phone and you refuse? Are they going to pull out a taser and tase you to get access? Are they going to wrestle you down to the ground? In the context particularly of a traffic stop, this could get really deadly quick. So how does all of this happen? In order to understand this, we must break down the difference between testimonial and non-testimonial acts. The Supreme Court has long held that only testimonial acts are protected under the Fifth Amendment. Now, what does that mean? That means statements of fact, assertions that you make that actually convey the inner workings of your mind. In other words, you must be revealing the contents of your mind in order to be protected under the Fifth Amendment. This should be simple stuff. You should never be forced to tell something to a police officer against your will if you are being held in custody. What about the non-testimonial acts that are not protected under the Fifth Amendment? Here, the Supreme Court has carved out this exception by saying this is activity or behavior that does not involve you sharing the actual contents of your mind. Classic examples of non-testimonial acts that the courts have ruled to be not protected under the Fifth Amendment include standing in a lineup, giving a sample of your DNA, having your photograph taken by the police, or providing a handwriting sample, or being forced to give fingerprints. Let's be clear. We all know that these things, in a certain context, can be incriminating, but here the Supreme Court is claiming they don't actually reveal the content of your mind. This brings us to the cell phone situation. Here you are on the side of the road, cops approach you and demand that you unlock your cell phone. Can you be forced to do that? Here is the key part. Cops cannot force you to unlock your phone if getting into your phone requires you to reveal the contents of your mind to get in it. However, if the cops don't need to know what's in your head in order to get into your phone, they can now get into your phone without a warrant. Here's the key. What knowledge is required that you would have to transfer to the police in order for them to be able to get into your phone? Now, let's talk cell phones. What type of cell phone do you have? And what type of technology are you using to protect your phone? As far as I can tell, some cell phones use alphanumeric like passcode passwords in order to gain access to the phone. Others use what is known as swipe locks or pattern locks in order to gain access to the phone. And then others, many and most cell phones now, use some type of facial recognition or biometrics in order to gain access to the phone. If you use facial recognition with fingerprint identification in order to unlock your phone, cops can gain access to your phone without a warrant. Why? Because courts have ruled that this is a non-testimonial activity. The reason why is because how can cops get access to your phone? They don't have to actually find out what your passcode is. They can just grab the phone, hold it up to your face, or they can take your thumb, like they did Mr. Payne, and push it down on the biometric and gain access to your phone. Because you did not have to say anything or express anything from the contents of your mind, the courts have said this is not protected under the Fifth Amendment. But what if you protect your phone through some type of passcode or password? Here, it's totally different. Because now you are conveying to the police implicitly that they are going to have to gain access to the contents of your mind in order to get into your phone. Think about it. If the cops could force you to type in the passcode or password, essentially you are having to transmit the contents of your mind onto the phone, which is the equivalent of them now violating your Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. So the key is, are the cops having to gain access to the knowledge in your head in order to get access to your phone? Okay, finally, what's the solution here? Make sure your electronic devices have no biometric access to them. If you want to make sure and maintain your privacy rights, always require that in order to get access to the phone, there must be some type of passcode or password transmitted in order to unlock the phone. This way, the police are going to have a valid search warrant in order to be able to gain access to the phone. Now, if you insist on using biometrics, I actually spoke to my son about this and I tested it out. And here is a potential solution. He taught me that on iPhone specifically, you can press the side power button on your iPhone quickly 5 times, and it will bring up the on-off SOS menu. And then any future attempt to unlock, once you do that, will require you to input your password, and it will disable your biometrics. What about Android devices? You tell me. I don't have an Android device, but I'm sure some of you out there know some solutions in order to disable the biometrics, and share those in the comments. Finally, what if the cops are walking up to you during a traffic stop like they did Mr. Payne? In that situation, the solution's even easier. Store your phone in your center console, where now it's not out in the open. And if the police walk up and start asking questions, the only way they're going to be able to get access to the phone in the center console is that they're going to have separate probable cause in order to search to be able to find that phone. Now, what if police are really persistent and they don't ask for your phone, but now they want to follow you? Can police legally shoot a GPS tracker dart on your car and follow you? Check out this next video where I break it all down. See you over there.